What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out, WiseTake.com. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Came to the right place with some free DFS content. Please like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notifications bell turned on. This way you are notified whenever we do go live, whenever we put out free content. You don't miss any of the goodness that we drop. Monday felt like a big slate. NBA was crazy, right? We had like 27 people or more questionable. I think at one time it was even more than that. Not as big of a slate in baseball, but it kind of felt that way. In terms of offenses, I say that Corbin Burns was extremely high owned. Corbin Burns looked great in the beginning and then kind of fell apart, right? Against Miami, ball teams. Against Miami. We saw, last I checked, Wheeler was just balling. And the Cardinals was a team he struggled with before, right? And he was just balling. He was just getting it done. He was just doing dirties. Wainwright looked pretty good too. Yes, he did. Wainwright looked pretty good too. These are some of the things. The Yankees did not do so well, and I'm sorry to smile if you're a Yankee fan, just kind of like stunned. I mean, as a Met fan, Matt Harvey gave us a lot of good years, man. So it's I secretly root for him. And DFS, I obviously root against him, and yes, I had plenty of Yankee stacks that went to waste, that burned. But part of me gets a little satisfaction. Harvey gave us all he had. Decided to push himself further than he should have coming off an injury, because we were the postseason, World Series, all that shit, and he ended up doing more damage and ultimately kind of sucked. So that was fun. If you're a Yankee fan, you're probably panicking. It's still too early. It's still too early to panic. I understand that the team has holes. I understand that people want him to do a little bit more, but it's still really early. I wouldn't panic too hard, right? And it's still really early in the season. Yeah, guys haven't even hit that first stride. Even the worst teams could go on a streak and a stride. You know what's going to happen for the Yankees at some point. And the question is, after that happens, what happens next? And we don't know that yet. I do got the new glasses. Picked these up today. At the end of the day, man, when you start getting older, you start to care less about how things look, and more about how practical they are, right? Like, these things are plastic. My other glasses were like the thin metal ones, and I couldn't even wear them because I could kind of see over them and under them, and I would literally get nauseous if I walked with them. So when you get older, the eyes get worse and all that shit. You start not giving a fuck. You just want to see, man. You just want to see. Anyway, hit the like button. We're going to get into this massive baseball slate. Yesterday was a massive NBA slate. Today's a massive baseball slate. That's kind of where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. We got plenty of pitching. I'm going to go over just the guys that kind of stood out to me on my initial look. I'm not going to go through all 13 games or anything like that, anything crazy. But I got a few things on the slate circled. Curious to hear your feedback. Curious to hear your thoughts. Leave in the comments at any point. I'd like to hear from you. Also, community aspect we like to do here. So let me know. First up, Mad Max Scherzer, right? That's like the starting point. Can we agree with that? When we look at the numbers, it's like not really comparable, right? Well, I guess you could argue Giolito is, so maybe I spoke too soon on that one. But in terms of cash games, normally there's like 2 or 3 guys that we just always go to and just plug them in for cash games if they're on a slate, especially on DraftKings where you got to roster 2 pitchers. And it's one of those guys is Max Scherzer. Another guy, best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom. I think Garrett Cole's probably on that list, but I'll say Shane Bieber over him, just for the sake of how things have been. Bieber's been awesome. Best pitcher in the AL, right now anyway. The thing about Mad Max Scherzer is he will be playing in Dunedin, Florida. TD Ballpark, I think it's called. It's called TD Ballpark. Anyway, point being is we're talking about a minor league field and the heat and humidity down there in Florida, right? not an idea. I mean, it's played out as a very hitter-friendly park. The dimensions, the weather, everything. Very hitter-friendly environment. Max Scherzer, as good as he is, as you can see, not known for his ground ball rates. 33% ground ball rate last season. Is a little more prone to hard contact than some of the aces out there. So the question is, what do we do in cash? Do we play Max Scherzer? I'm never really afraid to play Max. And the reason I'm never afraid to play Max is because strikeouts are king at the end of the day. So I'm totally cool just trusting that he's going to get the strikeouts he needs to get. However, I guess the argument is we do have actual pivots. We do have other guys with massive strikeout upside. Not even really. I mean, Walker Buehler is one of those guys. I don't think he's quite. He's been a little inconsistent for me. And the numbers look good, right? Very low BABIP. That alarms me. Sierra's a little higher, almost 4. I'm sorry, Sierra 3.8. XFIP 3.93. A little higher, right? The guy that I think is the more viable pivot, if you don't want to play Scherzer, or even if you do, but you just want another ace, is Giolito, right? 3.35 XFIP last season, 3.51 Sierra, 33.7% K rate. He is at home in another hitter-friendly park, but he's playing Detroit. And while Detroit has started off the season, or at least they did start the season off relatively hot, they're coming back down to reality and what they really are. No offense to Tiger fans, it just is what it is. Your team sucks, and you know that, and you're okay with that. Well, you may not be okay with that, but you accept that. You know that, right? But shout out to y'all for just, straight thugging with it. It's the respectful thing to do. But Giolito is that guy for me. And I think Giolito in tournaments, all the more enticing because you're saving money either side. You're saving a good amount of money. 9.5 on DraftKings, 10.6 on FanDuel. Down from 10.9 on DraftKings from Scherzer, 12K on FanDuel. So maybe most people do that, and that kind of leaves Walker Buehler hanging in the middle there. But I think in terms of like the two pitchers I sent out to most of me are Max Scherzer. In terms of ace caliber, are Max Scherzer and Lucas Giolito. And as of right now, I think in cash games, I would still roll with Max Scherzer. I just like his stability. I don't think I'll go wrong with either one. I think they both do well. In fact, if you can play them both, that's probably the ideal cash game situation, right? If you can get them both in. I'm sure the sharp people, the smart people are going to try to do that in cash, right? But yeah, those are the two pitches that stand out. No shit. They'll be popular. Yes. I'm just wondering what the ownership will look like on Max Scherzer when it's all said and done. How many people are even aware that these guys are playing in Florida in a small park? How many people care? Right? And the only reason I think it's even a thing is because it is a big slate. Now, it's not like a super deep pitching slate, in my opinion. I think it's deep enough. I mean, it's 13 games. You'll find something you like. But it's not like no-brainer deep. Not to me, anyway. Not going to talk about everybody. Next, we'll look in the mid-tier. Ian Anderson is probably my guy. Ian Anderson's look good this year. Again, these numbers are from last season. We will try to pull in some data from this season as well when we get a bigger sample, but we're just rolling off something. So small samples to work with last season. Ian Anderson, 1.95 ERA. He did get a little lucky according to his batting average, balls in play, some of the other stats. But the peripherals still look pretty good. A 52.5% ground ball rate, only a 25.9% hard contact rate. 3.82 Sierra is still solid, and a 3.45 xFIP is really solid. He's playing the Cubs. The Cubs did beat up on Mr. Charlie Morton. They did strike out. Morton did end up with some Ks, but they beat him up. I think Anderson, in my opinion, as of right now, I think he's their best pitcher. So I will be going back to the well in tournaments. In cash games, it may not be necessary, but in tournaments, I think I will. Yes, I do. Now, dimensionally, the Braves park actually grades out as a better pitcher park, but remember, oftentimes we got some heat, some humidity. That heat, the humidity. Hey, Dean, what's good? What's happening? See you in there. Shout out to you. So yeah, I think Ian Anderson to me, it would be like the mid-tier guy that kind of stands out the most. In terms of if you want to save some money, again, not going through everybody here, but I think Montas is at least worth a look. Now, I'm a little concerned with ownership here, but then again, the slate is so damn big. Maybe we don't have to worry about all that. 5.6 ERA last season, 4.36 xFIP. He missed a lot. He missed a whole lot of time with that suspension because he was doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. PEDs. But I still think he's a decent pitcher. He throws hard. He's facing a Rays team that strikes out a ton. Now, this is going to work one of two ways, right? One of the more polarizing spots, you'll hear me say that throughout the season because I love to say that word because it happens all the time, especially in baseball, high variance sport. Either Montas is going to strike out 8, 9, 10 Rays tomorrow, or he's going to give up 8, 9, 10 runs. That's just the way it's going to go. The Rays are that team. They swing hard. So if they're hitting you hard. If they are swinging and missing, they'll swing and miss all night. Make you look great. So as of right now, in terms of the pricing, 7.3 on DraftKings, 7.4 on FanDuel. I still feel more comfortable with Max Scherzer and Giolito, obviously. I still feel more comfortable with Ian Anderson. I just trust the talent. What worries me about Frankie Montas and these guys that throw splitters and sinkers, and they throw hard, it's great. But he's got to show me. I just don't feel as secure. And even though this game is in Tampa, which is one of the better pitching parks in the game, because of the way Tampa is, when things go wrong, things can go really wrong. When Tampa's on, they just pour that shit on. And it's with small ball. And on DraftKings, you get nickel and dime because you get penalized for whip. But Montas will be the one that stands out. Let's get into some offenses, shall we? Let's get into some offenses here. And now these are the offenses that I think will be popular, no doubt. So I'm not trying to be no slick. This is a first look kind of show. I'm not trying to be all slick. I'm not trying to come here with some crazy shit. We have a segment of the show after this that we can, curious to see what happened kind of thing, one way or the other kind of thing. But these are just the offenses that stood out to me, and I think some of the offenses that I think will be pretty popular. Number 1, Padres versus Merrill Kelly. I think what's best for this is we flip back to the DraftKings screen for this one, my friends, so we could really get into this. What did I say? Merrill Kelly. So let's look at Merrill Kelly. In addition to the stats, which I'll read them off to y'all. Last year, Merrill Kelly did have a 2.59 ERA, but a 3.95 xFIP and a 3.92 SIERA. Not bad by any stretch, but certainly worse than a 2.5 ERA. A 247 batting average balls in play, indicating he had been lucky. A 45.6% ground ball rate, which isn't terrible, but not good. 43.3% hard contact rate. When you see a player getting hit that hard over and over again, you just feel like, they must suck. And we didn't see that last year as badly as we should have. So far this year, we have seen the true Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly I expected to see last season. And I was trolled dearly. First game was against these Padres in San Diego. 4 Ks through 4 innings. 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned. 1 home run. 6.2. That's what he is. Went into Coors. Not going to knock him around too much for Coors. Give up 6 earned runs. Just saying. Washington, 6 earned runs. Play Cincinnati in Cincinnati. 3 earned runs. So the point is he's giving up 3 to 6 earned runs in each game. I just don't think he's any good. This is where his ERA probably should have been. And I think the Padres are a very good offense. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. They're coming off that series with the Dodgers, put up a lot of runs. Maybe you could argue the letdown thing, if you want to argue that. But the hard contact rates for this dude are real. And in the article, perhaps tomorrow or today or whatever, when I do post that at WiseTake.com, maybe I'll elaborate a little bit more on some of his recent metrics. Padres number 1. Number 2, Angels against Fulte. Crazy. Ohtani pitched and he hit in an all AL game on DraftKings. Like any other day, when your pitcher hits, you don't get credit when the guy hits. He did have a RBI double last time I checked. I'm not even sure what he's done since then. But crazy times indeed. Fulte has come to the Texas Rangers. Fulte has given up. He had 1 decent game against the Padres. Only 3 Ks, though. 7 innings, 3 Ks. And he still gave up a home run. This dude is a home run machine. 2 earned runs, 2 home runs in the first game, 1 home run in the second, 2 home runs against Baltimore, 3 home runs against the Angels. He's playing the Angels again. Food for thought. Yeah, this dude gives up a lot of home runs, man. It's simple as that. His strikeout stuff isn't what it used to be, and he gives up a lot of home runs. Braves gave up on him for that reason. He was giving up a lot of home runs. I mean, it is what it is. The interesting thing about this park, this is a new park. They played in it last year, and we saw immediately this went from one of the best hitting parks in the game to one of the best pitcher parks in the game last season when that roof is closed. They did open up the roof on Monday slate, and there were runs being scored on both sides. Last I checked, it was like 11 runs, and the game was still like halfway through. So the roof makes a difference. If the roof opens, you got to like the Angels even more. If the roof is closed and you just want to argue that he gave up 3 home runs against the Angels, what are the chances he gives up 3 home runs again? High variance sport, probably going to be popular, blah, 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 blah. You can make that excuse. You can at least try. But I do think either way that the Angels will be pretty popular, and this is one of the reasons why. And if they open up that roof, it's not looking good for Faulty. Really not. Boston against David Peterson. This might be a little more just my own bias. I'm just not a David Peterson guy. I'm a Met fan. I don't root against this guy. I don't root against my team. I just don't think he's that good. First game against Philly was in Philly, and he gave up 2 home runs, 6 earned runs, and I'm thinking like, yeah, this is what I thought he was. Came back against Philly 7 days later. Struck out 10. Still gave up a home run, but struck out 10 in 6 innings. Only 1 earned. Just no fucking idea where that came from. No fucking clue. And the Phillies, they're not even that. I mean, they're pretty good against. They're pretty good against lefties. I just don't know where it came from. Went out to Chicago, played the Cubs, a team that does strike out a lot. 3 earned runs, 6 runs total, 3 earned. Must have been an error somewhere. This didn't look good. So what David Peterson do we get today? I don't know, but Boston's looked pretty good to start the season, man. JD Martinez is back on his shit. Right? I don't think Peterson is a big strikeout dude. I really don't. Just don't. Unless he's sipping on that DeGrom juice, getting a little boost, but I just don't think that's what he is. Then again, I will say this. His strikeouts have been higher so far this season. Take that for whatever the fuck it's worth. Maybe it's not worth a damn thing. But I'll say that. Even in that first game where he got destroyed by Philly, he went 4 innings at 5 Ks. Granted, he threw 78 pitches in 4 innings. Against the Cubs, even though he only went 3 1/3, he only threw 62 pitches and he had 3 Ks. So I'm just saying, take that shit for what it's worth. Right? It's just Boston, though. Do we expect Boston to strike out a lot? No. But do we expect Philly? No. Either way, my own personal bias, I kind of think the Red Sox offense stands out. Last but not least, last offense I'm going over in terms of top offenses against first look. So if you don't like this shit, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's just we do the dirty. Paulie and I do some content at WiseTake.com. I do a core plays article. Paulie does his dirt sheet, which is a cool sheet talking about the stacks in his pool and the pitchers and all that good stuff. That'll be available after we've done more extensive research at WiseTake.com. Day Pass is available. Last offense here in this section, the Yankees against Zimmerman. Now, we don't have stats on the sheet right now for Mr. Zimmerman. What we do have is his game logs, just to give you some. You know, I'll have his 2020 stats when I update this in 2020. He wasn't here last year. First start was a pretty decent one. 5 Ks in 6 innings, but he still got up 3 earned runs against Boston in Boston. Second game, 3 earned runs. Consistent, I guess. You can argue that. 2 earned runs against Seattle, only 2 Ks. Miami's pretty good against lefties, though. Keep that in mind. 3 earned runs, 4 2/3. Yankees are ice cold. Harvey did the dirty to him. Now, unlike Harvey, Bruce Zimmerman is a lefty. Does that make a difference? It should. At one time, the Yankees were fierce against lefties. Now, the Yankees have always kind of been a team that plays better at home. But Baltimore, I mean, they played well in Baltimore. Everybody plays well in Baltimore, man. One of the better hitting parks in the game. One of the best. I want to believe for my Yankee fan brethren that this is the game that kind of turned things around, or at least a game where they turn things around. I want to believe that. Do I believe it? No. Am I going to try it? Probably yes. Even though I don't necessarily believe it. I'm going to try it. Because the Yankees probably burned a ton of people, including myself, against Matt Harvey. And I think on a slate this big, with so many good teams playing, I wouldn't be surprised if people try to go a little elsewhere. Listen, people are going to play the Yankees. We're not getting the Yankees low owned here. But maybe we get them lower owned than they should have been. Maybe we get them lower owned than they were Monday. You know what I mean? So Gleyber Torres, Giancarlo Stanton, assuming they're, and that's the other thing about, they're a pretty right-handed team right now, the Yankees. The guys they want on there on the field are pretty right-handed. I was going to say that. Harvey, hindsight's 20/20 is what they say, especially now that I had these new glasses for show. But if you look at what Harvey, over his entire career, even when he's been awful, he has been better to righties. He has. Strikeout rate's higher to righties. WOBA and ISO aren't as high. Everything. He's been better. He's been better to righties. It's true. Yankees threw out a very right-handed heavy lineup. Maybe today it works in their favor against Mr. Bruce Zimmerman. Maybe. As far as offenses to watch out for, now, these are offenses that I think will have significantly lower ownership than the rest of the field, but they're risky as fuck. It's simple as that. They're risky as fuck. So do what you want to do with them. You do what you want to do with them. Listen, I play as many teams as possible. I preach for people to play as many teams as possible. Lower the buy-in of your contest and get as many teams as you can, especially in baseball, a sport with a ton of variance and all that shit. You got to do it. You got to do it. That being said, some of the offenses that I think I'm at least curious to see what happens, right? The Marlins versus Hauser. Marlins got to Corbin Burns, who was the Brewers' best pitcher. Now they're playing Adrian Hauser, who is a good pitcher. I think he's a good pitcher in terms of real-life baseball. But in terms of fantasy, he's just not a big strikeout guy, right? And you can see in his log, he's just not. Just strikeouts aren't his thing. Big ground ball guy. Really good ground ball guy. Look at these ratios. 8 ground balls to 2 flat balls, 12 ground balls to 1 flat ball, 8 ground balls to 2 ground balls, 9 ground balls to 1 ground ball. 1 flat ball, fuck. You see it though. Miami be really low owned. This is a huge park boost for them. Hauser doesn't miss a lot of bats. Can they get the ball in the air and build on what they did to Corbin Burns? That's one of the offenses to keep an eye on. Second offense is Baltimore against Corey Kluber. They're at home. Very hitter-friendly park. Corey Kluber sucks right now. At least he has sucked. He's been sucky. Against Toronto, went 4 innings. He was on a little pitch count. Didn't do that bad. 1 home run, 5 Ks. Strikeouts are down. He don't look nothing like the Corey Kluber that we all knew in Cleveland. Look nothing like it, right? Yankees took a shot. Right now, they're falling on the face. Maybe he turns it around against Baltimore. Baltimore's one of those teams, right? He can either turn his shit around now, and I don't necessarily feel as good about him turning it around as I do about the bats, but this could be a situation where he turns it around. Or he gets teed off on. Baltimore's really low owned and wins somebody a fuck ton of money, right? So Baltimore against Kluber would be the second thing to watch. Brewers against Dancastano. Dancastano, who the fuck is that, you ask? That is the pitcher for the Miami Marlins. So what's interesting about this guy is he doesn't really strike people out much. Now, he's only played the Giants this season. So I don't want I don't want to be too hard with my judgment. But I recall looking through his numbers in general and just seeing the strikeouts. He's just never been a big strikeout guy. In 2020, he did play in MLB, 6 starts, 7 appearances, had a 3.64 strikeout per 9. That equates to what, a 9% strikeout rate he had. Even looking at his minor league numbers, he's never had anything substantial with any sample size. There was one season in the single A where he had some, A+ where he had some, but all in all, from double A onwards, he's just shown a very shitty strikeout rate. Now, that being said, his xFIP has always looked good, except for when he got to the majors. Last year was 5.51. Compare that to a 3.03 ERA. But he's playing a Brewers team that strikes out a ton. They strike out a lot. That's what they do. Hitters Park. Castano is a lefty. Going to see a Brewers offense that has upside when they're on, but also has listen, some of the better hitters are left-handed right now, and Yelich ain't even there, and still, do we call them their better hitters? I'm talking about Jackie Bradley Jr., Travis Shaw. That's the thing. What wins out here? Shitty pitcher against an offense that's not great either. Hitters Park. What wins out? Vegas seems to think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but that could have something to do with both of these offenses kind of sucking lately, right? One of the things to keep an eye out for. Oakland A's against Michael Wacha. Mr. Michael Wacha, where you at? Michael Wacha had himself a day against the Yankees. So April 5th, 4 earned runs against Boston. On the 11th, gave up 3 earned runs against the Yankees. That might have been the last time the Yankees scored a run. Just kidding. Played the Yankees the very next game in Yankee Stadium, 6 innings, 9 fucking strikeouts, 33.7 DraftKings points. What the fuck? I don't know, like a David Peterson type moment. I don't know. Played the Royals in Kansas City. So he did that in one of the better hitting parks, one of the best hitting parks in a game, Yankee Stadium. Went to one of the best pitching parks in a game, Kansas City, against a team that should be weaker. 2 home runs, 3 earned runs, only 1 K, 5 2/3. Don't know what the fuck happened there. Now this is a pitcher-friendly park here in Tampa, but Oakland's used to that shit. They play in Oakland, which is arguably even a bigger park. At least they got bigger foul ground territory, which makes a difference, right? And in terms of at bat staying alive, foul balls, all that shit. So I think Oakland's kind of interesting against Michael Wacha. I typically like to wait for Oakland to be in better park boosts than this one, but I think it's interesting, and I think they'll be low owned. And most importantly, outside of that one start against the Yankees where he gave up 0 earned runs in 6 innings, he's given up at least 3 earned runs in all the other starts. So I'm interested. Olsen's been hot. Pretty sure Michael Wacha's also been more reverse splitsy as well. Last thing for this segment, offense to look at. I'm gonna follow the Quintana and Rangers thing closely. So Quintana was just one of the worst pitchers in the game to start the season. Now, granted, he played Houston and put up 4 earned runs on him. He hasn't given up a home run despite all this. 5 earned runs against Toronto. Then he came out and had a really good game against Texas, which is Texas. It's to expect, right? They strike out a lot, especially against lefties. They're not good, blah, blah, blah. If this roof is open, even if it's not, I just don't think Quintana has it anymore. I don't feel good about him playing the Rangers again. I think the Rangers could end up one of my favorite sneaky offenses. Now, listen, full disclosure. Absolutely risky anytime you got a 13-game slate and you're talking about stacking one of the worst offenses in the game. It's crazy, right? But it's the game theory part. So they could end up growing on me. Plus, depending on the prices. Let's take a look at the prices. I got the shit right here. Wondering what the prices are. Let's see. We would probably want Nick Solak. He's expensive. I would assume Culberson's in there. Yeah, he's not that good, but he's cheap. Kinner Falafa, yeah, we want him. Garcia's cheap, man. Adolis Garcia, this guy could hit, man. $3,900 for him against a lefty, I'll take it. We've kind of run out of people at that point, right? You got to do some things you don't like to do. Let's just say Lau. Now, if I went this way, can I fit Scherzer and Giolito? It's ugly. Not really. So I'd have to work this around. Maybe I'm picking too much of the expensive players from this team. Because I know if Calhoun's in there, it's lefty-lefty. But if the stack works, right, ideally, if the stack works, we are looking to, get to the bullpen anyway. So at some point, he'd see a righty. So if he's in a lineup, I like doing that shit. I'm not going to run away from him because lefty on lefty. I would play Gallo, but Gallo just really sucks right now. Heartbreaking. He's just not been good. Look at his logs. He's not putting up no goose eggs, but he's not hitting no home runs either. Not. Maybe it'll change, especially if the roof is open. All right, we're gonna do some Dong Watch. Dong Watch again, as in watch the dongs. Home runs, right? Which of these? Who do we think is hitting home runs? We're gonna go today. Today we're gonna go with Fernando Tatis. We want to get a Padre in there. He's been hot. He's been red hot. There are people more expensive than him. Straight disrespect. Fernando Tatis, number 1. I'm going another Red Sox. I'm going to the Red Sox. That's, again, going JD. JD Martinez, where you at, bro? Come on, JD. Play me like that, JD. Play me. Fuck out of here. 5-7 for JD, man. I'm not going to get no pitching with this shit. Damn. Well, that sucks. I mean, it is what it is. It's Don Watch. I'm talking about home runs. I'm not saying that I'm going to be able to roster all of them together necessarily. I'm just saying I think they're going to have a damn home run. Let's go with, maybe we'll go with someone cheaper. At least a little cheaper. Ooh. I mean, it's getting dirty when I go down here. It's getting real dirty. Oh, we'll go with, fuck it. I'm not going cheap. I'm just going to go with my boy Solak, man. Ride that Rangers wave, man. Nick Solak. Expensive as fuck. You ain't getting no pitching with these 3 guys. But I do think that these 3 guys are hitting homers, hitting dingers, hitting dongs. That's what I think. Solak, Tatis, JD Martinez. Book it. Book it. All right, Nation, that's going to do it for us tonight. Appreciate you hanging out with us, doing dirties on our first look here. Little breakdown of the slate action. So, went over some of the top pitching options, went over some of the top offenses, all on the first look. We'll dig in. We'll do what we do. If you want an update on what I'm looking to play, go to WiseTake.com. I have a core plays article that'll be out prior to lock. Paulie D's got his cheat sheet with his shit on there. Stacks, pitchers, all that shit is player pool. And of course, if you're a monthly member or higher at the site, man, get in the Slack chat, man. Sit there and talk it up. MG's been in there spitting knowledge. MD Spitty's in there doing things. So, boy G Tuck's in there doing things. So it's good, man. It's a community vibe, and we're still going to that NBA too, even though it's gruesome and it's brutal and it's still doing what we got to do. Still doing what we got to do. Hit the like button on your way out. We appreciate y'all. Leave some comments. We love the feedback. Goes a long way. Anything you want to see, anything you want to see different, anything at all, let us know. We appreciate you. That being said, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.